Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate with You, the thought provoking conversation show where your hosts, Angie of the ZXUH Method and John the Tarot Geek, figure out what resonates with them while encouraging you to find what resonates with you. Let's get started. Hey, John, great to see you. How are you today?
Hi, Angie. Nice to see you too. Today, we are talking about the metaphysical in the media. So that's going to be TV and celebrity mediums, psychics, stuff about that. So it's going to be a fun show.
I think so too. I mean, there's so many places you can go with this. Like how in every TV program that shows a tarot card, it's the death card. I mean, that's just hilarious, right? Like,
right. And what do they mean by using the death card? Well, they mean someone's going to die.
oh. And we all know that when you pull the death card, it has nothing to do with someone's physical. How does it in the rune book? It may go so far as to portend a death, but more likely it is, an
Death
ending to something, right?
Death means change.
It means change and
Death
ending to
means
something.
change.
So, transition, right?
Right.
Death,
It's transition. It's change.
But
And so I forgot who I was listening to who was talking about that. But someone throws a death card down in a TV program, and the person who's commenting on that says, "Oh no, the killer's going to change his mind." Yes, that's it.
oh my gosh. I mean, why, it's so funny when you look at these programs that are about paranormal activity and
house clearings.
Paranormal activity and haunted houses and things like that, or tarot shows up, and it's always the death card. I mean, nobody gets the justice card on TV, right? Like, or the Empress.
Get the
why?
Hierophant. What the heck?
Yeah, right. Why do you think it is? I mean, are we such a fear-based society that we're so afraid of what, one of the mediums on the list, Rebecca Rosen, said that one thing we all have in common is that we all want to know what comes on the other side. And I think so many people are afraid of what they can't see that, I mean, I heard that one of Radley Valentine's decks was going to be used on a TV show.
Cool.
But then I watched that show and it must have gotten cut out because I never actually saw it. But I thought, well, that would be at least something, because I know there's no death card, right? Like,
right. Valentine, he softens things because he doesn't want people to be afraid of the cards. It's one of the big complaints about tarot is that there's some scary things in there. The death card, the tower card, the three of swords. People are afraid of these. Oh, you got a bad card, you got a scary card. And what he's done very nicely is soften those things. Like, no, it's divination. It's not scare the heck out of you.
And I wonder, before the time of TV, and I know we're talking about TV, so we'll give this just a second. Tarot is, what is it, 400, 500, 600 years old? I mean, it's been around for a very long time.
Really long time.
And it started out as a parlor game.
Right.
So I can't really imagine what that actually looks like. Oh, draw the death card. You got to pretend to kick the buck. I don't know what it.
They were. So there's the four suits, of course, which are where our normal playing cards.
Oh, right.
And then the trump cards. The deck of trump cards was used in like a trump card is used in other games.
Oh, like hearts or pinochle or spades or
but the separate,
whatever.
The fifth suit was the major arcana. They were used as basically trump cards.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, and I know I've seen, people doing readings with them. I think what is it called? Cartomancy, right?
Cartomancy.
Cartomancy. So I just wonder if people, like if you think about, really an offshoot here, but if you think about Halloween costumes and things like that from way back, like They're scary stuff. Or like,
Oh yeah.
or like the German version of Saint Nicholas, the Krampus, like the
Hmm.
devil that comes and takes away bad children.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I think that people liked to be scared. Are we soft? Have we gotten a little soft, or have we just
I think
moved out of the darkness and into the light?
real life has gotten so scary that we need something that's not so quite so scary.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think back then the life was scarier.
Yeah,
That,
I do
that
too. Especially if you look at like
I mean, an
medieval
outhouse.
picture, yeah, medieval pictures
Yeah,
of
right.
the
Like,
devil and and like gargoyles on the, who puts scary, creepy things on churches now? Nobody, right? Those
I
gargoyles
think
on,
gargoyles are kind of cute, but
I do too, but they're meant to look a little scary,
yeah, they are. They're meant to keep evil spirits away. See,
right?
that's the whole thing. Like, do you believe in evil spirits? I do not. I don't.
No,
So, but I think that people, I think there's a lot of processes in the world that happen as if by magic. Like garlic healing the plague, and things like that, and people didn't understand them like we
hmm
do now. So I think, I guess I could see, oh, the things are happening that we don't that we can't see,
yeah,
right? Like, so
yep,
we're afraid of what we can't see. We can't see death. We're afraid of that. We don't know what happens to us when we die. We're afraid of that. So that really is a great segue into the idea of mediums.
yeah,
And the way that I was thinking about this framing is TV mediums, TV psychics, TV mediums, famous mediums.
hmm
Are they legit? Are they the real thing? Are some real? Are some fake? Are they all fake? And actually, does it matter?
yeah. Well,
Because if you
so
look at what they do, does it really matter?
on the fake part of it, you can't get to the media spotlight without having some level of ability. I think. I don't think you can.
I don't
I don't
know.
think you can fake your way all the way up that. I don't think so. I think you've got to have some level of you know competency in any skill to to be that well in the public eye. That is my opinion.
Well, and that and I can get behind that, but it depends, because I'm just going to say this, like, so if somebody is particularly uh what's the word, like, charming or
Hmm.
compelling, so you have that, and then they are particularly good at reading people, meaning, I say, I sense that you're troubled about something. Who
Hmm.
isn't, right?
Right,
And you,
right.
and you go, and then I go, oh, you're troubled about children. And then I watch your reaction. Oh, you're troubled because you don't have children.
So they're
You know
right.
what I
It's
mean? So
right.
it's that, because and the reason, I guess, I have a little, what I feel like, a little bit more, um oopsie. Do you have a
Yeah,
catastrophe over there? Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you had water, whatever,
I'm
dripping.
good. I'm good now.
Okay. Um, of course, I have a friend who's a mind reader, and the mind readers, right, and those folks, that is, as physics is not the right word, but you know, they learn how to do that, right?
Right.
Like, it's not, a lot of it's not real, but I don't know, because I swear this guy, his name is Joe Diamond. One of these days we'll get him as a guest.
Yeah.
Um, when I watch him, I think to myself, there's things he does, like, he'll put half-dollar coins on his eyes, and he tapes his eyes shut with I mean, the goof puts duct tape on his face, right? Like,
Ouch.
so he puts coins on his eyes, duct tape over his eyes, everything. His eyes are 100% completely covered, and he'll hold his hand out, and you put something in his hand, and he just goes like this. He does not close it up or anything.
Mhm.
And he will tell you what's in his hand.
Yep.
Now, there is no way that guy is not using some kind of psychic connection
I
to
agree
come up with this
100%.
information. It can't be a trick. So
Yep.
I'm with you that I believe most of them are legit and real. There
Mhm.
are some I wonder about,
Yep.
you
I
know.
did I did a little research on the fraudulent mediums. So they have
Oh,
actually, yeah, two, not the who, but the how. There's what they call a hot reading and a cold reading. So a hot reading that's fake is where they do some research on you, like on people ahead of time. They'll
right.
either look it up online and or they might have someone feeding them information. But then the one that you just mentioned is the cold reading, where the fraudulent medium ask questions and then watches the responses,
Right.
whether it's like their accent or their like watch the tears in their eyes, they watch for pupil dilation, um, and they're gleaning information as they're kind of fishing for it.
Right, right,
And you know
right.
what? When people claim that all mediums are fraudulent, that's the thing they point to. They see, nope, they're doing that. They all do that.
No, you're right about that. So I have two things. One is the reason I have that in my mind about, oh, you have children. Oh, no, you want children. I saw it on Designing Women
Hmm.
decades ago, right?
Right.
Julia Sugarbaker was trying to talk somebody out of, seeing a psychic, and she went along and, told her, it showed her how it could be done. So there's that. And then, and I thought this was really interesting. So Penn and Teller, you know who Penn and Teller are?
Yep.
The
Yep.
magicians that like want to debunk magic, right?
Right.
Like they're the first ones that'll tell you magic is not real. They insist that nobody is talking to the dead. That can't happen. They insist on it. And it feels so flat to me when they say that, because I know it's just not true. I
Right.
know, I believe 100%. And the problem with it is that there's not really any way to prove it, right? Like there's just, it's
So
like you and I are talking to each other. People
right.
can watch this and they can say, "Oh, look, Angie is talking to John," even though they're not in the same room. We know it's happening because we can see each other.
Right.
But you have somebody validating, but like let's say I'm giving you a psychic reading online and I say, "John, I've connected with your Uncle Joe and he wants to tell you whatever.
Mhm.
He wants to tell you you're doing a great job, but you should really not invest in whatever it was you're going to invest in." And you say, "Oh my gosh, oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Because I was going to invest in, I don't know, Google." And you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So even though it could appear that it's real, it could be totally set up because we could have talked about it ahead of time,
Right.
so it could be staged.
Yep. So I think there's a difference between like doing public mediumship in a group
Mhm.
versus doing a medium talking to a single sitter one-on-one in person. And what I keep reading about and hearing about and actually participating in these classes is evidential mediumship. The number one thing you want to do for a sitter is you give them evidence that you are
Oh,
actually
sure.
talking to someone. And that's the first thing. You have to do that before you do anything else. And usually that's something like, so one of the examples I heard is the medium saying, okay, I'm just like getting evidence here. You have a picture of such and such a, painting on your wall in your living room, and it is by such and such an artist, right? Really,
Uh,
really, really detailed stuff. And
Yeah, that's really, really hard for somebody to get, especially somebody just learning how to be a
oh
medium.
yeah, no, this is an advanced, very accomplished medium who was doing that, but she was saying this is the kind of stuff you can get to that can really put the sitter's nerves at ease. Like, yes, this is real. We're actually connecting with someone.
You know what? If the sitter needs something that drilled in, I don't think you're ever going to put them at ease.
Well, no,
That's
it wasn't that the sitter needed that. It was just something that came through.
right. No, right. I'm just saying that. What am I trying to say?
Well, here, one of the things that I read when we were researching this was the mediums say, I am never here to convince you. If you're not here because you want to hear a message,
There
then
you
there's no
go.
point in me even But there's no
Right.
point in even
There,
doing this.
that's it.
That's
That's
what
my
you're trying to
point.
say. Yep.
That's my
I
point.
I would agree with that.
Right? Because I think that there are people who show up in the room with a medium, and their goal is not to make a connection.
No,
Their
their
goal is
goal is
to debunk it,
right,
right? Like,
right,
and even though they do have a loved one they've lost, and they do have a loved one they'd like to connect with, they don't really want to believe that it's possible.
right. They come
You
with an
know,
intention of not an intention to connect. They come with an intention to to cause trouble or to debunk. And
or misery loves company, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know, I mean, it's and it doesn't happen to me often where people are like, no, no, oh no. I mean, it happened to me in a card reading. You were in the room and it was not fun, but you can't be attached to the outcome. If that doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate, right?
yep,
But don't ask me for something if you have no intention, right, of
right,
accepting it, right? Like,
yeah.
um,
I think the
because we can tell people, mediums can tell people that things they don't really want to hear. I don't personally like to delve into mediumship too much because I don't do well with people that are in grief.
right, right,
Not because I don't think they should be in grief, although I do believe that grief, people get attached to it and like stay in it too long.
yeah,
In not in all cases, in some cases. Everybody's on their own timeline. But I will say that there are some days when those folks on the other side are a little bit pushy and they're like, hello, excuse me.
we got a message to deliver. You gonna deliver it or not?
It right, exactly. So I it's an I've studied with Lisa Williams
I like
a
her a lot.
bit. I like Lisa Williams
She's
too a lot.
funny. She's funny to listen to. She's very sincere.
She is, and I think one thing that you see in common with the TV mediums, um, James Van Prague, Lisa Williams, John Edward, Teresa Caputo, she's a little pushy sometimes, I
Yeah, a little
think, for
pushy,
me.
but still, I think she's
But
genuine.
still, although I want to know, how does she think that people are going to play them cassette tapes? I just don't know. That's what she does. She still records on a cassette tape. Where does she get the cassette tapes? I have no idea.
They still
But
make those,
anyway, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like
right?
you give it somebody a cassette. Who's got a cassette player anymore?
Um,
If you have an old car, I guess.
maybe an
Anyway,
8-track.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you can't even get them anymore.
No,
But okay, so I mean, even my car is 10 years old. It's got a CD player. So, not that I ever. It might have an actual CD in it. Who knows? Anyway, so you've got them. Tyler Henry. Tyler Henry is interesting because he's a little bit of a medical medium too. But
that's
my
really
point,
cool.
yeah. Well,
Let's get to that in a second.
there is a story about that too. So, but my point is, to me, the one thing they all do have in common is that their goal, their mission, what they want is to help people. They
Mhm.
want to help people make those connections, not for the people on the other side, but so that the people they're making the connections for can move on.
Mhm.
Because I
Put their
think
hearts
that's
at ease.
one thing, right? One thing that all of the loved ones on the other side have in common is that they want us to live on and be happy,
Right. They
right?
want to let us know we're fine over here. Things are great. Now,
Yeah, I mean, and I guess if we could see it, I mean, I think that's why, and it was Rebecca Rosen. She's on your list. I love which the first thing I heard her say, heaven and hell is a state of mind.
mhm,
In my mind, that's
right.
that is
That's
nearly
spot on.
exactly the same as the way I put it, which is heaven and hell are a human construct.
Right.
The state of mind. And she went so far as to say it doesn't matter if you're dead or alive, basically. That's not exactly how she worded it, but
Right.
it doesn't matter if you're here or there. Heaven and hell is a state of mind. And I find that to be a really interesting.
Yeah.
So she was on your list, so I did a little research. Now, what I watched, I think, was an interview.
Okay.
But she's written books, right? Does she have a TV show too? This one,
Let's
Rebecca
see.
Rosen.
I don't think she has her own, but she's been
Oh,
on Oprah.
she's been on Oprah.
She's been
Okay.
on Oprah, and she's written books, and she's also a public speaker.
Oh, I think if I remember right, and I listen, her name is Rebecca Rosen. If you're interested in what the book she wrote, look it up on
Yep.
Amazon. But I want to say that her whole premise is, now that I think about it, she was talking about healing
Yeah.
and how to use these connections to heal. And she's talking a little bit about what I know to be akashic in nature, because she's saying, you can find patterns in your life, and if you can identify the patterns, then you can heal. Well,
Yep.
that's what we do when we do akashic work,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah,
Is
those
we're
two
looking
connect
for
very
those
well.
patterns. Yeah, of course, because I think it all lives over there, right? In the
Right.
fifth dimension, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So yeah, I found her to be really interesting.
So one of the first introductions I had to mediumship was Laura Lynn Jackson. I'll mention her book, The Light Between Us. I literally could not put that book down. I think I read it in one sitting or maybe two sittings.
Wow.
But it was the kind of thing where I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not done. I got to finish this. This is amazing. But that was my first introduction to what mediumship was, during my journey. I was like,
So what did it tell you
wow.
that you didn't know?
Okay, so the number one thing that just made me go, what, really, was the proof that she had to go through to get. There's an organization that
Oh yeah, so you're that right, left,
right,
whatever guy.
right, because up until that point, I wasn't sure if it was real or not. I was not sure if it was real.
So that's interesting. So that's what
convinced me that.
See, and I needed none of that.
You don't need that because you already had it firsthand, right?
Well, firsthand, or I mean, I just believe in magic. I believe in
Right.
Santa Claus. I believe in the Easter Bunny. I also believe in the Tooth Fairy, and kind of like on the movie The Santa Claus, how they all come and visit and everything with Tim,
Right.
the Tool Man
Right.
Taylor. I believe in all those things. I've been to those places. Like, I go there. That's that, and that's like the core of my work, right? So
Right.
it's interesting, but you see,
for me, I had I was a cautious skeptic, but once I saw really solid evidence, and that's what this Forever Family Foundation did for me through Laura Lynn Jackson. Once I saw that, then I was like, okay, if they actually put him through this rigorous test that can't be faked, all right, I'm in. This is okay. Tell me more.
So I think that's cool, but I think that we know a lot of people who are the real deal that could not pass all that testing.
True. I mean, that's a kind of a top tier.
But I because I think, well, first of all, it would just make me angry. Like, get away from me. Like,
certifications.
I don't need you. Like, either I resonate with people or I don't, right? But I think, there's been so many people, you hear so much about so many people trying to debunk, that I guess there's some comfort in the idea that there is an organization out there proving.
Right. And
instead
literally,
of debunking.
You're right. The debunkers don't have a whole lot to say about that. I mean, they go,
no,
they
don't.
You either have to discard all the evidence, or you have to.
Right. Well, I mean, and like I said, the evidence can be faked. Like, somebody could say this whole organization, because, I mean, let's face it, there is a lot of confirmation bias going on in this world right now. So, I believe it. I already believe it. You don't need to convince me. You read the book. You're good. You believe the scientific evidence. You believe what they have to say. There are other people. Well, there are people that believe the Earth is flat. Come on. So,
true, right?
And not only do they believe the Earth is flat, I wanted to know how they explain when you got to the edge, the Pac-Man theory. Pac-Man?
Right. He comes around the other side.
That's what they believe. So now you have to look at, like, the body of the population. Okay, I'm comforted now that give it a little more thought that there is someone out there proving instead of trying to disprove. So I'm good with that. I
Yeah.
don't need them,
Nope.
but I'm good with that.
Yep.
So wow, that's really, I mean, so many people want to believe it, right? Like,
Right. And I think
do
this
you
may
have
give
a
them just
favorite like that you like to watch?
so Tyler Henry on
I
with
love Tyler
those
Henry.
sketches. His little sketching. I always thought he was sketching something about what he was channeling, but then I found
No,
out later he was just sketching just to keep
he's
his mind, his ego mind active
exactly.
to get
He's
himself.
distracting his ego to get he's getting his ego out of the way. Which is one of the things I teach, when I work
Yep.
with people is you have to get your ego out of the way. And I think it's kind of brilliant that and then people now are like that get readings from him, they want that scribble. He's like, but it's just a bunch of squiggles. And they're like, no, I want it. Okay.
That's
But
funny.
it's I would encourage listeners, if you're attempting to make any kind of a connection, pick up a pencil and doodle,
Hmm.
right? And just because you're engaging your brain, that you have to use your brain to drive your hand, drive down your arm and out in your hand and just doodle and
Mhm.
just kind of mindlessly do it and and then let what happens happen.
You know what? I've never actually done that.
Give it a try.
That is really interesting. So,
Yeah.
when we do meditation, when I meditate, one of the things you're doing is you're paying attention to your breath, and you're maybe you're counting, and that's to keep your ego mind or your active mind doing something else while your spirit is meditating and connecting, right? But
Hmm.
the doodling I haven't done. That would be something that
Yeah. I
I should
mean,
give that a try.
it'd be something fun to try.
Yeah.
There's many ways, but that's another show, I think. Um, yeah, that's another show. Okay, there you go.
Let's see
See,
who
I
else.
heard it. I heard it back here, folks. It's another show. But we'll do a show on those kind of things, tips and tricks and
Okay,
ideas
that's a
and
great
stuff
idea.
like that. That's a really great idea. Um, and I want to say that Tyler Henry, if you have, do you watch the program? Have you watched this program?
I've seen
It's on Netflix now too.
Yeah, I've seen 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh yeah, I've seen like all of them.
Oh, cool.
I really liked, and the thing is, I used to watch Lisa Williams years ago. And Lisa Williams actually did she actually did a boot camp show, like a psychic boot camp show where they were testing
Cool.
psychics, which was kind of cool.
Sweet.
I think that some of the teachers are kind of attached to the idea that everybody does it the same way, which
Mm,
is not really the
that is
truth.
no.
Um, like I will never be able to solve crimes.
Mm,
I don't want to. But let's start
right.
right there. I do not want to. But where I was going was Tyler Henry. There is a bit of medical mediumship that he
Yeah.
does. If you
Yeah.
watch him, he'll say, this or this. And I remember so vividly one of the first times when I was learning how to do energy work, and I was interested, I thought, in medical mediumship. And I read the book. I started reading this book, Medical Mediumship, I think by the medical medium. I don't
Yep,
know.
I have that.
And one of the first things it said was, well, you might be able to see in somebody's lungs. And I was like, that's it.
Done.
I don't ever want to see inside someone's lungs ever. And I made that statement, because I found out very early on that you make those statements, you create those boundaries. That's how this works for you, right?
Okay, sure.
So when I was learning energy work, and my niece is the one that taught me, she was in an accident and she had lung damage like some years ago. I put my hands on her ankles to start, doing energy work for her. And all of a sudden, this flash of lungs, but they were drawn like a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
And I hear this laughing behind me. Like literally heard the laughing behind me. Like, okay, well, you didn't actually see inside, but now she's got trouble with her lungs. And I
That's
was
funny.
like, How rude is that? But so that's, you never know. Here's the thing. All of them. Every single medium, every single psychic, every single tarot reader, every single oracle reader. This is what they're doing. They are connecting to, receiving, and interpreting energy. That's it. It's all it is. So if you can figure out how to do that, connect, easy.
Right.
Receive, easy. Interpret. That's where it
That's where
becomes a little more difficult, which is why tarot or oracle cards are so great, right? Because they're the bridge.
They are the bridge of the interpretation.
Right. So can anybody be a medium? I think so. Is it easier for some than for others? No, I think so.
I think so too. I think it runs in families too. I know.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I've met so many people that say, "Well, my grandmother did it," or, my mom did it. She didn't really talk about it. Blah blah blah. Right.
Oh yeah. Anybody before us, they didn't. A lot of them didn't talk
right.
about it.
Oh, because it was forbidden.
Yeah, but actually, Lisa Williams, her grandmother was a pretty famous.
Yeah,
medium.
I she mentioned that in one of her courses, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But that again goes back to the fact that it does seem to run in families.
Yeah, is it genetic? Is it DNA? Is it Akashic? Is it ancestral?
I think it's a combination of Akashic and genetic.
I do too, because I believe that when you're on the other side, you make a choice. You choose what am I going there to do? What am I going to do? And I believe that there is a vibrational match that you're looking for when you choose where you're going to incarnate, which and a vibrational match means family, mother, father, ancestral line, all of it, right?
Yep.
So I do believe that, but there's also those archetypes or those, it's more like a hierarchy. No, it's not really a hierarchy. It's categories that people are, from the other side. So there are some people who are more slanted toward mediumship necessarily than others, where there's other people who are all about like building and design. And then there's other people who are all about, I call them like fixers, people. Have you ever encountered somebody? I don't know, maybe you are. I haven't actually figured out where you're from yet. That's going to have to happen after tax season.
Right.
But have you ever worked with somebody who could come in and just take a look at a structure and go, oh, well, this is great, but if you do this, this, and this, it'll go that much faster. It'll go that much rounder. It'll go that much further. It'll be that much easier. Like there are people that can actually, like, it's like you watch them and they go ding, 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 that's an actual like archetype, soul archetype. Certain people are that way. Certain people are on the other side. They escort souls to and from. So here they're more like mediums, like you have all of these different characteristics to different people. So everybody's going to connect in a different way.
Yeah. Yep.
And then of course you have the draconians, and the only thing they connect to is money. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. So I studied some with Lisa Williams. I know that James Van Praagh has he's got a big school, the JVP School of Mediumship, I think he calls it. And he's another one where if you go through his program, you find people that are certified through his program, listed on his website.
Right.
I haven't seen him in a long time though on TV or anything. Have you?
So I had him listed, but I have not taken any of his classes. I don't know very much about him.
I do know somebody. I can't think of her name. Anyway, she's also a Radley Valentine person. I met her actually when I studied with Radley, when I did a course with Radley, who was here.
Heather?
No. No, not Heather Hildebrand. Although I really like her too.
I do too. Yeah, she's not on our
list. Mention her as well. She's not on the Heather Hildebrand. She's amazing. She's so calm. And anyway, so there was this woman that I met through Radley Valentine, one of the courses, can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she works with James Van Praagh, and I
Okay.
think she was a student of his, and now she actually works with him,
Oh,
when
cool.
he does events and things.
Yep.
So, there's a lot out there. She's one, I think she does quite a bit of channeling. Um, it's interesting. There's so many, like, just so many. There's so many. I we all have the big names, then there's Teresa, right?
Right.
The Long
Hey,
Island
wait a second.
medium.
We have a shameless plug we got to put in real quick.
Oh, yeah, we got to do the shameless plug. Okay. Here we go. Shameless plug. So, I'll do Sunday, April 16th. We are doing an oracle seance, which is going to be amazing. I mean, it's fitting for this subject, right?
Yeah,
And the way we've done it once before, it was so good.
I
But the
agree.
way this has presented to us is that we're going to do a meditation. There's a guided meditation at the beginning to help you make that connection. And then after we do the guided meditation and you choose who you'd like to connect with, we actually are going to draw cards to give you messages from those people. So
Yes.
I actually had one of the people who signed up, and P.S. There's not a lot of space left because we keep it really small. Ask if she should pull a card. I said, well, if you've got cards, pull a card. That'll be fun to see how that goes.
Right.
So, well, we'll be creating that sort of container and bringing the loved ones in,
Mm-hmm.
which is always,
A
if you're
joy.
energy sensitive, it's always enjoyable, right? Because the
Yeah.
energy, loved ones that are connecting with people who are here on earth are always, even though they bring whatever, shenanigans that they took, that the energy that they were like here is what they're like there. So if they were wild and boisterous, they tend to be that way. But their energy is always devoid of the human. Oh, what other, these things
The
that are the human
anxiety and
ego, right? The
the ego. Yeah.
anxiety, the anger, like those kind of things are not really there when you connect with them and they're on the other side. So it's really fun to put yourself in a bucket with all these, the people that are participating, and then the loved ones, and then the guides and the teachers and angels. You're putting yourself in this bucket filled with energy, which is just awesome
Yeah.
anyway. So that is Sunday, April 16th. You can sign up on the Angie ZXUH Facebook page. It's listed under events. It's also listed on, should be listed on the Tarot Geek page, but I don't know if it is yet.
We will make sure that it is.
And if you have any questions or anything, please reach out. I mean, you can find me easy now. Angie ZXUH, the name of my page. It's the name of me. I'm the only one on the planet. So that is going to be a really great time. We have a few spaces left, so we'd love to see you.
Cool.
Okay, that's that one. What have you got?
Well, I'm gonna promote my tarotgeek.com website. So TAROTGEEK, tarotgeek.com. And I am available for tarot readings. I do both in person in Michigan, and I do mostly Zoom and online readings. And just want to have people, first of all, I'd love to have people sign up for my list, because the list has discounts and specials and just kind of tips for people that are learning tarot. So come to the Tarot Geek website, sign up for the list, and yes, that's what I'm promoting.
Awesome. So there you go. All right. Now, look at this. TV psychics, fact or fiction, or does it matter? I want to hit this little piece right here.
Okay.
So I want to tell you where I was going with that thought.
Right.
Teresa Caputo, Lisa Williams. I mean, I believe they're the real deal. I know you believe they're the real deal. I believe that the ones that you referenced that I looked into,
Yeah.
I also believe they're the real deal. However, let's just say they're not. Like, let's say they're not. I mean, we know they are, but let's just say they're not. But let's say they're not, and they're doing exactly the same thing that they're doing now, right? Like nothing changes except they're not really real. They're not,
You
they're
mean like
not really real.
mediumship itself? Imagine mediumship itself wasn't
Itself is
real.
not real. Imagine mediumship like it just, it's like Penn and Teller. People don't talk to dead people. I don't buy that. I really don't believe that. But let's just say, and then you watch what these people do for the people they interact with. Does it matter if they're real?
I see where you're going. It's their intent to heal, their
It's
intent
their
to help.
exactly. It's their intention.
They're doing a good thing.
Right. And they are helping people. Again, like I said, the whole cassette thing, I don't think that helps people. But other than that,
Right.
other than that, I think that, but I think that when you watch and you watch the people's reactions and you listen to them and they, and again, it could be put on, but I mean, I've had clients tell me there's no way you could have known that.
Mhm.
And I know that's real. And so I believe it when I hear it. I don't believe anything that comes out of the mouth of a salesman, but I believe that,
Right.
right? Like I'm a pretty good judge of energy, I think. I'm also a good judge of what I want to believe, so there is that. But so you have all that. They're doing a good thing. They have good intentions. And it's not like those ones. Have you ever watched the show? It was with Whoopi Goldberg about what is it called? The Con. It's actually called The Con.
A movie, right?
The Con. No, it's a show.
Okay.
It's a TV show. It's like like a 60 Minutes type thing, or whatever. Like it's on
I have not seen that.
ABC. It's
I've
called
seen.
The Con.
Okay.
And so she's focused, she's talked about all different kind of people, but she highlighted these mediums, actually they don't call themselves mediums, I don't think. I think they call themselves psychic.
Okay.
But these psychics who will, oh my gosh, John, I'm doing this reading and I can just see here. You have an entity attached to your heart, and it's keeping you from going where you want to go. It is keeping you from being able to do what you're trying to create, and it is keeping you from moving forward in your life. And I can get rid of it for you for $3,200.
There's the con, right?
Right? There's
That's
the con.
The intent to defraud.
Exactly. That is the intent. It is the intent to defraud.
And that's
which
the whole
PS,
key.
that intent to defraud gets you in trouble with the IRS too. Just saying.
Right. Well, that's when they found some of these people. I remember reading an article about that in New York City, and they took them. They found them and I think got them on tax evasion.
Oh yeah, I think you're right about that. I actually do think that, and I never ever could figure this out. Like I could never ever figure this one out. First of all, it is literally, there's a publication 17. It's called, the publications by the IRS are numbered. Publication 17 tells you how to do an individual tax return. In the individual tax return, it even says the proceeds from embezzlement are taxable income, right? Okay. Like it literally says that it's taxable. Now, in my other endeavors, I went to this tow company, as a tax person. The tow company, my car broke down on the way. And when I got there, they said, Angie, we could make that car go away for you. I was like, no, I'm good. But this is what I don't get. You got a chop shop in the backyard. Don't you think it's a good idea to keep your front yard nice and neat so you don't attract any attention?
Right.
So these people, these mediums who take this money, they probably would not have a leg to stand on if they would just report it as income and pay tax on it.
Right.
The government would probably leave them alone, which I think is just absolutely hilarious.
Right. They make two mistakes. One, the defraud, and two, they don't pay taxes on their fraudulent income.
Hilarious. But so there is the intent. Now, because we're we're getting close, and we've still got, we've still got tarot
Yeah.
time to the end. I just want to say, what do you think about, um, these people who do this, these fraudulent psychics who do
Right.
these
Yep.
things? They make me really angry because I think they give those of us, you and I and other people who have good intentions, who walk in the light, right? We walk in the light. We don't straddle the light. We don't have one foot in the light and one foot in the dark. We
Right.
walk in the light.
Nope. We are here to help, and we are here to do light work.
Right. They give us a bad name. And
Right.
and again, going all the way back to what we talked about in the beginning, people are more likely to believe the fraud than they are to believe the real thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mentioned this before, but I was on a forum a few months ago, and the question of the day was, what are some occupations that are so scammy they shouldn't exist? And there were a couple that were like, haha, that's funny. Used car salesman, um, insurance, someone who makes the decisions on whether something's covered on insurance or not, right? So,
Right.
but then two things that came up that really made my heart sink, which were psychics and mediums and alternative medicine. Two things I believe very strongly in are
Yes,
helpful,
absolutely.
and
Yes.
it's because the scammers out there are giving the rest of us a bad name, and that's unfortunate. It's very
Right.
sad.
So just out of curiosity, this forum that you were in, without naming any names or anything necessarily, what kind of people? Was it a business forum?
It was no, it was more of a it was kind of more for it's kind of a joke of the day forum or a funny picture of the day forum. So it had a
Oh,
good
okay.
cross section of the internet. It tended to be a little young, a little skeptical, a little geeky, kind of a geeky
Okay.
forum.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to hear what kind of people who are making those calls,
Right,
like,
right. Clearly, in the forums where you and I hang out, that wouldn't even come up. But this
no.
was the point is that this was a cross section of humanity that had said these are things that we consider scammy. And again, it made my heart sink because
It
there's
would
people out
mine.
there making a bad name for those of us who are um, on the straight and narrow and here because we want to help people.
Right. And I suppose it's fortunate there's enough people that do believe in us.
Right.
That we're good.
Here's a good statistic for you. I read that given all the people in the world, 98% believe there is something non-physical that we can,
Wow.
yeah, not so. Now that
98%.
that that includes most religions, right? Because most religions have an after-death component to it,
Oh, sure,
right,
absolutely.
right. But if you take all of those things, it's like 98% of the people believe there is something that is beyond the physical.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, that's like, of course, it's 98% of the people polled. So who knows where they.
True. But the point is, the real hardcore skeptics who believe in no metaphysical whatsoever is a small number. Now, they happen to be a very vocal number.
True. Yeah, true.
And,
And but then there's those, okay, there's those religious folks that,
yep,
you know,
they believe in their version of it, but they don't believe in anyone else's version of it.
exactly right. Right.
So, when you divide it out that way, it gets a little dicier. But
Sure, it does. I mean, I remember, I'll never forget my favorite question, like back in the day when before I really pretty much completely separated myself from organized religion. Nobody could answer this for me. You mean the Dalai Lama is going to hell?
yes, right. Isn't that a
And
great
they would look
question?
yeah, I mean, I was like, that's what I wanted to know. That's what I said it. I said it to ministers, and they all kind of look at me like I got no answer for that,
Right.
because, you
if
know,
if you're that hardcore in your strict in your beliefs, then they would have to say yes, but they can't because he is such a powerful person in the world for good.
Right. Right. So anyway, so yeah, and that is what it is, I guess.
Right. No, that's
I don't.
we're gonna have to
What?
do a an episode on the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. Well, he's got a. He's real quotable. You
I
know.
know, I know.
Yeah, I follow his Facebook page, and he's really quotable. Like
And he's done books and interviews with n- numerous, world personalities,
Mhm.
and has been in so many different, media appearances and gives speeches. I don't know. He's just a wonderful person to listen to, what he says. All right, I think, are we coming up
Yep.
on
Yeah. Yeah.
tarot
It's time
time?
for tarot time. It's
All
actually time.
right.
So listen, this was a great conversation. Real quick before we move on to tarot time, next week is a really great week. We're going to have the military medium is going to be with us.
Ooh,
So Camille, so her name is Camille. She's a friend that I've met recently. So I'll get more information, and then as soon as we're done with tarot time, I'll repeat it one more time, and then we'll go from there. So John,
yes.
it's time for tarot time. What are you giving us today?
Okay, tarot time today. So we decided to pull two cards from today forward, and I pulled two cards, and it was very interesting to me that of these two cards. So remember we were talking earlier about the bad cards of the tarot deck. I got one traditionally not so pleasant card. I got the Five of Cups. So I'll show both cards and then we'll talk about each one. I also got the Fool, which is the card 0, the first one of the deck. So let's go back to the Five of Cups. I pulled the Five of Cups. Here it is. This is from Chris Ann's deck called the Lightseers Tarot. Cups, as you know, is the emotion suit, right? So anytime you pull a cup, this is going to be something having to do with emotion. And the fives, if you look at any five in the tarot suits, the fives are like an about face or a big change in direction. So the cups, one, ace through 4, very pleasant, very, very, very good emotions, and then wham, 5, you get the 5 of cups. The 5 of cups is betrayal and bitterness. It's becoming jaded. It's the future you're working on is no longer an option. So I call this the betrayal card, and I got this card for one of my own readings for myself one time. Briefly on that, I had been doing readings, and I kept getting readings about this particular customer situation I was in my business, and they were all dark, lots of towers, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I did a one card reading, said I need to know what is coming my way from this company, and it was the betrayal card. And the very next day, I was betrayed by someone in that organization, and I was like, whoa. So this card has this card hit me hard. What is the action that you need to take when you get this card? It is this. The message is to walk away from the pain and walk carefully toward a brighter future. So it's the card where you get some betrayal, you get some bitterness, there's some pain involved, and you are when you get this, you know that whatever's going on in your life, you need to turn away and walk away from the pain and walk carefully to a brighter future. That's the message in this card.
Wow, that's all that from one card. Isn't that amazing? So I just want to point out to everybody that's listening, cups are emotion, and then fives are an about face. So you have a couple of additional pieces of information to put into your planner or into your.
Yeah, we have the tarot planner. It's a PDF download available from our
Does it
website.
resonate? Does it resonate with you.com?
Yep.
You just opt in, and it's all over on there. You can just go sign up for the email list and you get a copy of it. Anyway, so that is awesome because that's great. So if you know what the suits are, if you know what the numbers are, now you're really getting a handle on what the framework is. That's really amazing.
Right, right. Yeah, I like the framework of Tarot. It really helps me. You get a little more, you glean a little more information from each card, knowing the kind of the bigger structure.
Right. Right.
Okay, so the second one I pulled is, and I'm really glad we got this one. This is the Fool. Um, it's also known in Radley Valentine's deck as the Dreamer. And this is the very first card in the deck. So when you pull out a brand new tarot deck, this will be the first card. Um, the the major arcana, which is the first suit, their cards are numbered, and it is often known as the Fool's Journey. So if you take the whole
Hmm.
major arcana suit and you go one by one, it's actually the same. It's a parallel of our journey through life. So the Fool is new beginnings. It's the beginning of the journey, right? It's new beginnings. It's adventure. It's enthusiasm, and the takeaway value from this card is there's something greater to explore or become. So if you get this card in a reading, there's like, oh, there's something out there for you. There's something to explore or become. And here's the key: you might not feel ready, but this is a go, yes, do it card. So another way to look at it is this card is the card that says, I've decided that being still is not for me.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yep. I got a funny story about this. When I was first looking into tarot, I was Googling it, and I landed on this person's website, and the name of the website was something like The Fool's Journey. And I'm like, what is this garbage? Right? Who wants to be a fool on a journey? And it wasn't until I actually studied tarot that I realized, oh, look, the Fool is a card, and the whole first, the major arcana is called the Fool's Journey. But from a marketing perspective, because that's what I do on my day job, that's a really dumb name to name your website, because someone who doesn't know the ins and outs of it aren't going to see the subtlety of what that means, and it's going to repel people away. So anyway, I digress. My point
Well,
is,
it's interesting you bring that up because I remember Radley Valentine referring to it as the dreamer's journey,
right, right. And
and
he said he doesn't
telling
like
the
the idea of,
similar.
right. He didn't like the
Yeah,
idea of a fool. It's
yeah,
it's the dreamer. It's you're new and fresh. You're starting something brand new, and what could go wrong? I'm just going to go for it.
and I think that, dare I say, the political correctness of the late 20th and 21st centuries. I think that back in the day, somebody was called a fool. That meant they were happy-go-lucky and they
Mm,
were like a dreamer, right?
sure,
I think now when you say call somebody a fool, that's a
it's
derogatory.
derogatory. Yes.
I don't think it was always a derogatory term.
Yeah.
That's my feeling
Yep.
and the sense that I get from it. But I can understand the idea, and I like that Radley Valentine is bringing it into the 21st century, right?
Yeah.
Like, I really, really do like that. So, wow. So here's another little nugget you gave us today, that the major arcana is the story of your life, basically.
Yes.
Different points in your life.
Yep.
I can't wait until it's time for you to talk about that and
Yeah.
explain to us
Yeah.
how
I'd love
that
to get
works.
that whole, once we've done all the major arcana, kind of to take an overview, like, okay, these three segments. Yeah. Oh boy, I could just go on and on, but
Yep.
it does describe the journey through life.
Amazing. All right. Well, here it is. We've hit the end. Sorry, it's dry. So it's Camille Nelson, the military medium. She actually does deal with grief and trauma. Sorry, I don't know where that's coming from. Um
So yes, yes. We had a medium on a couple weeks ago, and that was Val. So that was a really, really entertaining show. And this one with Camille, I'm
Yep,
really
we're gonna
looking
have a
forward to. Yep.
yep, we're gonna have a really great time with that. So that's it for this week, folks.
So
This
it's
was
been,
another great show in the
I know,
can.
I really enjoyed talking about all the kind of how the media portrays psychics and mediums. So
Me too. Me too.
enjoyed that.
All right. Time for us to go, but we'll see you again next week. I can't wait. Have a good week.
Bye.